The worst advice I got was actually good advice for a different person.
Today, Ben Kaplan talks with Michael Costello, CEO of GNC, the supplement store that's been around for 90 years.
We're in the business of helping consumers live a better life.
But let's be real. These days, you can buy protein powder or vitamins anywhere. So why does GNC still exist? And why should anyone care?
Shopping is still fun sometimes. I like walking to Best Buys. I like walking to Barnes & Noble. That's a fun shopping experience. It's really, how do we turn that experience into something where you're happier walking out the door than when you walk in the door?
Michael breaks down how GNC is reinventing itself, focusing on trust, better products, and actually helping people find what works for them instead of just selling whatever's trending.
Last year, weight management as a category, not a big surprise, was declining in the United States. There's some big drugs all of us have heard about.
And you're referring to like the Ozempics and those kind of drugs.
GNC grew double digits in that category last year.
Whether you hit the gym every day or just try to be a little healthier, this episode will make you think about the brands you trust.
Not all good advice is good advice for you. And the reason why they're slightly different is that
Michael, so much of kind of where the brand is at, where the company is at, when we've chatted before, is about delivering a great consumer experience. Why does that matter so much in this sort of category of health and wellness? GNC is a 90-year-old company, but why does it matter right now to your job and your role as CEO that you deliver a consumer experience?
Yes. So, we're in the business of helping consumers live a better life. And the categories we participate in, from proteins to multivitamins to many other vitamins, the science has continually gotten a lot better, but it's also confusing for consumers. And so the idea that you can walk into a GNC and get a curated experience for yourself, knowing that we've already tested all the products, whether it be a third-party product or GNC branded, we've already put them through our quality tests, and then that we've given up to 180 hours of coaching or training to our coaches in the store, and they can really help you think through their product. Why do we need to do that? Well, in this day and age, shopping is still fun sometimes, right? There's plenty of times shopping for me is a chore. But when I walk into, and I'm going to use other retailers, if I walk into a Best Buy and I ask questions about the different computers, like, I'm going to get somebody who can help me navigate all the stuff I read on the internet. That is a wonderful payback. I like walking to Best Buys, right? I like walking to Barnes & Noble. That's a fun shopping experience. It's not hard for me to pass an hour waiting for dinner to go into Barnes & Noble to see all the different books that of course I go shop on Amazon, but some of these books are set up for maybe where I live, the history of the local location, or I run into a bunch of books I wouldn't run into if I just kind of spearfish shop online. So it's really, how do we turn that experience into something where you're walking out and you're happier walking out the door than when you walk in the door? That's what we're trying to drive.
Well, and how does that fit in with just overall market dynamics and company dynamics? I mean, I guess company first, there was, kind of high profile bankruptcy filing that I think that was pulled back and was purchased by another company back kind of pre-pandemic. And then pandemic, we saw a lot of growth in digital, obviously more than in store. 1,200 stores, I think, of GNC went away. How does all of that sort of lead into the strategy now of saying, yeah, people could order on Amazon and get some protein powder shipped to their door, but you want them to go into a GNC or go to the website or something else?
No. If you think about it, let me go back to the kind of history of GNC. If I said in 1935 we were founded, 90 years old, we were the first at many things, bringing products to the marketplace. And if you think about back in the 90s, when I was a big consumer of GNC, right? So I was a consumer, loved GNC, going into GNC because I could get the products I needed that maybe weren't available everywhere else. And I knew they were vetted because it was a wild, wild west within the supplements world at the time.
I see. And it was a specialty retailer in a specialty area, but to the credit, a lot of those products got popularized. And so now you can walk into a grocery store.
Now you can walk to a big box. You can walk to a grocery store. You can go online, buy on your phone. And so what's happened is that we had to continue as anybody through business, we have to continue to differentiate ourselves. And so we have all this knowledge. We have tons of data on what supplements work for people. We have, you know, over 15 uh, graduate degree folks who are vetting all the different products that come in the door, thinking about what we should be selling, what we shouldn't be selling. All that knowledge has been there for all 90 years. Now we're really trying to make it come to life right there in the store with you, or online, or if you want to chat with us, or you want to see us on TikTok. It doesn't matter what channel. We're trying to be that trusted advisor for the consumer who knows that there's a difference between the supplements out there.
And do you do that across the board, everything, or do you kind of like focus in on certain areas where like there's, I don't know, weight loss is very trendy and also kind of always a big category? Do you try to kind of pick those off, the ones that you want to be the place where you decide if, you're going to want to take this drug or not take it, or take another alternate version? Do you kind of focus in areas?
So we focus in areas. We have 5 demand spaces that we talk about it, which is active nutrition. It is, and our ones we focus on right now is active nutrition, weight management, and healthy aging, which are the 3 that we're really focused on. And if you think about it, active nutrition is exactly what you think about. You're out there doing something. It could be yoga, it could be lifting, it could be skiing, running, whatnot. There are certain things that you're going to need to fulfill that active nutrition and maybe get a little bit better bump from it. That could be a pre-workout to both motivate you as well as to maybe get that one extra lift in there. Whereas on healthy aging, which is where I am, right? So when I was back in the 90s buying from GNC, I was buying a lot of active nutrition. I was out there working 2 hours, working out 2 hours a day, doing a lot of, heavier stuff. I'm now 58. I don't want to lift any heavier. I'm okay where I am, and I'm trying to maintain it. So my need state's different than that 23-year-old coming in the door who's really trying to drive the active nutrition, or even the 30, 34-year-old. I'm now trying to maintain myself over time. So I'm coming in a healthy aging bucket. So what we're working on is really both weight management, healthy aging, and active nutrition, figuring out what those core needs are that a consumer wants when they come in the door, so they become a customer of GNC.
How much do you think about, personalizing that experience to them, getting them in loyalty, so it's not, just a individual purchase this time where I need help, but that, after I'm buying repeat usage of this product that I've been recommended, that I'm going to a GNC and not going someplace else? Or also connecting, digital to the in-store experience as well, where maybe I go into the GNC when I want to talk to expert Bob, who seems very knowledgeable, but I don't always need expert Bob. Sometimes I just need to get a refill.
And that's very true, Ben. And so what we want to do is figure out what you want as Ben. So there are folks who want to come in every month and have a conversation with a coach and talk about what's the newest, the hottest thing that just happened. As we launched maybe Diamondized Fruity Pebbles, and that just hit the store, and you want to taste Fruity Pebbles, well, you're going to come in on that regular. Or maybe we're just a little bit, we're fairly close to one of the gyms, and that's one of your regular stop buys to see what's new and hot. Or maybe the person who wants everything delivered to their door, we can do that too. You come in for the one thing, we can put you on subscribe to save. You want to go on our website, we're also available on Amazon. Or TikTok, what we're trying to do is really understand that almost everybody has an individual journey, right? Life comes up, you can't go to the store. We're there for you. You want to come visit and see what's the hottest and newest things in the industry, we're there for you too. So it really depends on you as a consumer about what you want, and we'll be ready for all of them.
And what about the brand GNC where it stands now? It's one that, like, I'm in my 40s. I grew up seeing a lot of malls, a lot of strip malls, like a GNC. I'm familiar with it. Do you find what is the brand equity of a sort of 90-year-old company, and sort of what people think about it? Do you have to change any perception about what GNC is? Do you like the brand awareness do you have? Do you wish you want more brand lift at younger audiences? How do you view it?
So the brand is very well known. Our unaided awareness is very high. Our aided awareness is super high I think you see that out there. It's more about the relevancy. So it's less about, I think folks know we're GNC. They know we stand for supplements. In fact, I don't think I've met a person who I mentioned it to who doesn't go, oh, you guys sell supplements, you sell little bottles of things, right? Uh, but they haven't been in the store, and they haven't been in the store because they don't know what the value proposition is for coming to a GNC. And that's why we're getting out there talking about all the education, talking about his trusted advisor, sharing all of the things that we've done. We have over 100 clinical studies on GNC branded products that show exactly, and these are, some of these are double blind, placebo clinical studies, top level type of clinical study that shows the benefits that product that formulated, not just the ingredients, but formulated actually does for your body. And so you can come in, we can talk to you about those. There's other products that maybe aren't so proven, but are still, lots of science behind, and we can talk to you about those. So that's the point, is that we want to meet you, the consumer, where they have, and show the differentiation, show that there is a reason to shop GNC different than going online or going to a big box.
And what do you bring from it? You had years at Clorox. Clorox
32.
is 32. Clorox is a place known for, in addition, obviously a well-known company, but also has like a very big and well-known insights department that use data-driven insights. In fact, I know this because I went few years back, I think this was around like pre-pandemic, I actually did a presentation and did a keynote address to the whole insights department on sort of the future of sort of pulse real-time continuous surveys, and was brought in to do that way back then. So I enjoyed giving that. So what do you take from Clorox and what you do now, and sort of the use of kind of insights in sort of CPG retail world?
So what I take away is actually retail and CPG are more similar than I think most people think. And especially in a specialty retailer, because I have to give you a reason to cross the parking lot from that big box to come over to GNC, right? You probably pulled in the parking lot, you went to get some of your groceries or whatnot in a bigger box. I'm right there. Why should you walk across the parking lot to GNC? So that brand building, that focus on the brand promise, the focus on explaining to consumers what we really stand for, is really what I brought over. That consumer first mentality of, consumers have a job to get done, and we have to figure out how we can be the best solution for that job.
I see. And do you in what ways do you use data or insights now? Like when someone walks in the store, do you have access to know, what their, I don't know, digital footprint is? Do you have, are you trying?
We do. So we have a very high percentage of loyalty. One of the reasons why is our loyalty program is very generous. So if you sign up for the free program, you get 3% back on everything you buy. If you sign up for a pro, it's only $40, you get 10% back on what you buy. And so what we find out, because there's a free program, it's a very easy kind of sign up for either whether you're online or in store, to sign up with us, because, hey, I got 3% back for just sharing my email. And then we are, with all those journeys, personalizing them to say, well, what did you buy? What are you buying? I was actually in store the other day, and it was perfect, because a woman came in to buy Mega Men 50 plus for her husband. And as she was being rung up, the cashier noted, hey, you've bought a lot of zinc in the past, but it's been a while. And she was like, you're right. I ran out of zinc at home. I forgot. I was going to go over to X retailer to go buy some. And she's like, well, let's look at the price here, what you have here. And she looked at it, she's like, this is a great deal. I'm getting it here. I saved one trip. Boom. But it was that interaction of seeing all the customer data, but also helping the customer out, right? Because we saved her from going to buy or going to take another trip to get something she may have forgotten. She was very happy with the interaction, right? So we were very happy because we obviously increased the basket size by $32, but she walked out a happy customer because the coach in the store knew what she wanted, talked to her about it in a way that helped solve one of her problems, shared our pricing, what was there. And not only did we get that men's 50 plus Vita pack that she came in for her husband, but she got the zinc that she uses.
How does it work? I mean, in your three focus areas, I mean, you said sort of categories: active nutrition, weight management, healthy aging.
Yeah. And so I didn't really use the word categories on purpose, right? I actually use the word demand spaces. And the reason why they're slightly different is that categories can fit underneath all three of them. So going back to our protein example, protein, you might use protein to lose weight. In fact, it's a great tool. You might use protein to really active nutrition fuel your active lifestyle. You might use protein in healthy aging, um, but those are probably slightly different proteins. Sometimes the same. What we're trying to do is really find out
Like like use cases, like need states of this. Okay.
use cases. Yeah, need states. Right. So again, like back to that job needs to be done. I'm trying to I I'm trying to decrease the impact of aging on myself as long as I can. Right. I want to have my health span as long as possible. What are the things that help me do that? It might be different or might even be the same ingredient, but I'm using it for a different purpose. So I might want different information than the person coming in who's on really trying to drive an active lifestyle and maybe is in a run club 4 times a week and wants to make sure they're getting their personal best on their run. You know, maybe training for a 5K. I have a different need state, and so how do I really talk to consumers about those need states, and also what are the products they might need that they don't even know about?
Well, but how does nutrition versus weight management versus aging, do those operate differently? Are they different drivers of different types of behaviors, but within your store? I mean, meaning, is there, does the active nutrition person want to come in and chat with Bob, for a while and try to like get every edge they can to get, to sort of get better body faster versus the healthy aging person different? Like, how do those operate differently?
I think we have a lot of early hypothesis on this, but I'll tell you, we did a lot of work on weight management last year, right? And it proved out because weight management last year, weight management as a category, not a big surprise, was declined in the United States. Now there's some big drugs all of us have heard about, and so the category declined double digits. GNC grew double digits in that category last year. And the whole thing was because the insight is that in any time that something's kind of very public, in this case, weight management.
Okay, and you're referring to like the Ozempics and those kind of drugs, right? That are in high profile. Yes.
High profile Ozempic, all GLP-1s are out there. So a lot of folks, so why do weight management as a category declines? A lot of people moved off of taking weight management products and moved on to the Ozempics and the GLP-1s. You know, but if you think about the consumer and what they need when they come into us, you might need some products to help mitigate the side effects of GLP-1s, or you might be coming off a GLP-1 and you've lost the weight. Great, you've hit your new goal, but how do you stay there? That's another lifelong challenge you have to do. Or there's other folks like me who, as I see all those Ozempic things, I really just need to lose another 12 to 15 pounds. We have products called glucotrim, which actually help stop your hunger cravings, which I just need to stop eating chips and salsa at night at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. Don't we all? Yes.
because I live a healthy lifestyle from wake up until about 9:30, and then it's at 9:30 to 11 o'clock, which is always my downfall. I take glucotrim after dinner. I don't have the same cravings. So people look for different ways to solve their problems. There's other things we sell within weight loss, which are just a fast acting, high caffeine, a lot of times high caffeine, high stim. You need to lose a few pounds fairly quickly. Point is, all of those are different ways, different needs that come in. So how do I talk to the consumer in a way that I understand what they're looking for? Because if you're coming in, Ben, to say, I want to lose the last 10 pounds, then you're probably not going to go on Ozempic. It's probably not the route you're going to take. But you see all this marketing about weight management, and you still have that kind of question. We help you solve it with other solutions. So we can help you with your Ozempic journey. We can help you coming off it, or we can help you if you choose to, lose it the more traditional way.
You've talked about before the sort of the 5 C's that guide GNC: culture, countries, categories, consumers, costs. Which of those is the most challenging for you as CEO?
I wouldn't say it's the most challenging. I'm going to reframe it. I think the one that is always harder to measure and yet super important in terms of driving results is culture.
And you mean the culture inside the company, from the person who's ringing up the person buying their multivitamin all the way to the C-suite?
All the way to C-suite, yes. And in fact, I'd say the you know 4,000 people in the stores are kind of the crux of it. If we can get the culture to be created there, the rest of us will kind of row along. But yeah, the culture it's one of those things, right? You know it when you see it. You know a positive culture. You know when people are supporting each other. You know when people are thinking growth culture in terms of how do I keep experimenting and helping the consumer along the journey. But versus cost is a lot easier to say my cost was $1, now it's 80 cents. So it's very clear to measure, and you kind of have a clear timeline against it. So I spend a lot of my time on culture.
What do you think that people in the category of retail or more health and wellness, what do you think that people, other folks in the industry miss that they'd be wise to pay attention to amidst all of this?
Well, see, I mean, that's where I see GNC is that, you know, for a lot of the other competitors, they're doing 1,000 things. GNC is focused on supplements. So if I go to a big box retailer, if I go online, they may have a good subset of the products we have, but they're not necessarily watching the trends, watching the science. They're watching what's selling right now, and they're taking some of those top products. Whereas if you come to a GNC, you know that every day we wake up and think about supplements. We watch all the science out there. We watch the trends. We see kind of what's there before. I'd say some of the bigger guys. And I think that focus for us can be a win for you.
And how much do you think in that effort, is it just anything in the store you're providing experience, or how much of it is it, private label, other GNC branded products, sort of thinking of that as serving the consumer and emphasizing those kind of products?
Well, we do, but I will tell you, and it was my mistake here coming here too. I always thought GNC, prior to coming to GNC, that a lot of the products were private label. But in fact, we really consider our own brand because we have a lot of the studies we've done are on the GNC products. We formulate a lot of our products, so different than a private label where we're just taking a product.
And you're just like, and you're making it, adding your brand to it, and that's it. You're saying these are, yeah.
We've actually formulated like glucotrim. We formulated some key things for weight loss into it, and there's no other product like it out in the marketplace. So we weren't inspired by another brand that did this product. And we went and copied it. We actually sat down, looked at science, said what were the best things for it for those who are looking for a non-stim help in weight loss. I don't want to take something caffeine at 9:30 at night after breakfast because I'll never sleep. So there was a need out there, and we developed a product for it. So a lot of the GNC branded products have the clinical studies behind them, were specifically developed for a need the consumer has out there. And I do think it's one of the other opportunities we have is to share with folks that some of the GNC products are, in many cases, better than other stuff sitting on the shelf.
I see. And it's an opportunity, but what about just for others in the industry? Just what do you think they miss about what, I don't know, consumers want, or where the industry headed? What do you think is just more uncommon to pay attention to?
Well, I don't know if it's uncommon, but I think it's always a challenge. I think you see this, especially a lot of DTC brands that grow, direct consumer brands that grow, is that consumers are also looking for newness.
How do you stay fresh and new and relevant, and like in every, I guess I won't use category, I'll say demand state, that we have what's current and what's the latest science or the latest things people are trying, and it's progressing.
And how do I stay current and new and fresh without being trendy and fatty? Right? Because which is delicate because I can be on the fad and I can, we'll take CBD a few years ago was a big fad, right? It blew up. Everybody was taking CBD. CBD was going to solve everybody's problems. And I found out it was probably just for a small subset of the people that actually had it. And that's still kind of a question versus because the science never caught up with it, right? The hype was very huge wins. All these things could happen. There's some science behind it, but it wasn't at the level of, you might say, like a creatine today. And so how do we stay watching everything, but at the same point, uh, make sure we keep things fresh without going into the trendy fad style of things that may not work.
What do you think about the mental health and sort of wellness space? We've done a bunch of work in the past for Talkspace, which does like online remote therapy. Others, how do you think that factors in? Given that has been another well discussed in the past few years, led by especially by a lot of sports celebrities who have sort of said like, "Hey, mental health is something that I pay attention to. You should too." How is that as a category emerging?
So mental health and nutrition is, I mean, the categories are growing. We were we will get to them. So our focus right now, as I said, on weight management, on active nutrition, and on healthy aging, because that's kind of our core categories we're building off of. Um, and we've had, we've had a reason where people believe in us for a long time. If you think about your protein powders and your creatine and your pre-workouts, you probably bought your first one at GNC. If you think about some of our testosterone boosters or for pre-menopause and menopause, when you come in, you'll see extensive selection at GNC, and it's products that people who grew up on GNC when GNC was really big.
It's so shocking to me, Michael. This is a side note, which is when I was younger, I actually would buy calories in a scoop because it was hard to like put on weight. I was kind of a skinny, scrawny kid. And I was like, now I can't even imagine taking calories and like putting it in my shake, like literally calories. But I remember going into a GNC to get that.
Well, of course, because I mean, if you're in your, if you're in your 20s, you're still building muscle. You're trying to really work out whatever choice, whatever sport or kind of way you stay in shape. Um, and especially with a lot of science behind getting protein, it's hard to get that much protein eating unless you're meal planning and meal prepping on everything. So yeah, so you remember going that protein because you were trying to get the extra calories. Otherwise, your body would have not taken advantage of some of the work you were doing. Now, we the science has proven that everything you were thinking about then was true. So now you can come in and you get it as a cocoa pebbles ready to drink, where you just go get your 20 grams of protein right away. So a lot of things have changed there. GNC's always stood for these categories, so that's one of the reasons why it's one of our focus categories right now.
I see. Okay. Well, and finally, just in this whole journey, and this is, how do you think about just the advice you've gotten along the way to get to the CEO role? Have you gotten some? First of all, sometimes it's fun to talk about the bad advice. What bad advice have you gotten as you've come up through ranks, and what good advice have you gotten that has kind of led you to this point in your career?
So I'm going to talk about bad advice first because I think it's important. The worst advice I got was actually good advice for a different person. And so what I mean by that is that I was given advice by somebody I highly respected, who was highly accomplished. And he sat me down and said, here, this is at the time in my Clorox career, I was going to international. And he thought I should stay in the domestic business because it's a bigger part of the Clorox business. And his whole point was it's high risk, it's high paying. There's a lot of things that have to be fixed over there. Better for your career to stay in domestic instead of going to international. And actually, the advice on average was exactly correct. But for me, I knew that I loved traveling to international places. I loved the dynamics of the environment there, and I thought I could learn so much more faster by moving to the international group. And so that's what I did. But my point is, not all good advice is good advice for you. And that's the thing we have to think about, right? Because if I give out advice based on my experiences to you, and it's about how to become really good at CPG, you might look at me and think I'm crazy because it's obviously you're in a different career field and you're doing something different, right? Even in our own fields, though, we all have different journeys. And so how do you take that advice in, right? Advice, feedback is always a gift. But then how do I filter through the lens of what matters to me, Michael, or what matters to Ben, and then understand if that's still really good advice for me?
Final question. How do you want people to perceive GNC 5 years from now? How will they perceive it differently than they do today if your vision takes form?
It's simple. It'll be the place that you won't trust it. When you think about supplements, you're going to think about GNC first because you know you can trust it. One of the things there's a brand out there of supplements called Now Foods that goes out and tests online with a lot of the companies and sees and finds many of them don't meet label claim, meaning they don't have the product that they say they're selling it to you. But that's really hard for average consumers to figure out which ones are there, and they don't necessarily get taken off online. They stay there for a while. So what I want people to think about when they think about GNC, it's my trusted advisor in the supplement space. And if I have a question about supplements, I'm going to go to GNC and ask them.
Well, there you have it. Michael Costello, CEO of the GNC Corporation. Thank you for joining us on Branded.
Ben, my pleasure. Thank you very much.